But let's talk now to Stephen James, chairman of the Folkestone and Hythe Conservative Association. Stephen, welcome to the Wake Up Call. I know you're going to be watching very closely tonight. Have you made your mind up yet as to who you would like to be the next leader?
Do you know what? I haven't made my mind up at all. Daily I'm changing based on the news that's coming out, the announcements they're making, and those kind of opportunities that other members have and friends I've got across the country have had to meet them, and they give you some feedback, and you're kind of like, oh, that's a great idea. They came across really well there. Oh, they were a bit too slick there, and all these kinds of things come together, and I think I'm going to be waiting until the last minute to cast my vote.
Vacillating day by day. I mean, so presumably tonight will be actually very important for you. What they say really matters.
Yes, I mean, definitely what they say, and but also kind of the way they come across. And
sure.
I'm also looking for a leader with charisma, with a bit of style, a bit of panache, who's going to make us look really good as a country when they're out touring the world and meeting other world leaders. So it's kind of, again, I change daily, so it's hard to say which one of those leaders it would be. What
issues would you like to be raised in the debate tonight? What issues are important to you?
Important to me, I think, is the rate of corporate tax. I would like to see that lowered. I want to see business stimulated so that we're able to make more money, employ more people, and do well. I really want to see education come more of a focal point as well. And I know you've discussed this on your show before. I'd love to see the ban on building more grammar schools removed. I'd love to see entrepreneurship being put into the curriculum as a kind of key focus and encouraging children. And I'd love to see a real focus on the kind of more traditional subjects, reading, writing and arithmetic to make sure that children are leaving primary school being able to do all those things and do them well.
What do you make of both candidates really trying to compare themselves to Margaret Thatcher?
It's Margaret Thatcher is a huge figure in our party, and I suppose it's only natural that we're going to look to the past to look at those kind of real heroes. Boris used to look back to obviously Winston Churchill, and it's kind of to try and bring a bit of that kind of magic, a bit of that mystique along with their campaign. It's not going to kind of affect the way I think or the way I vote. I'm sure lots of members like that kind of thing. And believe it or not, I'm not really old enough to appreciate either's premiership. I mean, I was a Thatcher child, but I wasn't really a grown up during that time.
I believe it, Stephen. Now, Liz Truss was in Kent over the weekend. Did you meet with her?
No, I didn't. And actually, down here in Cookson, we were scheduled to host her. I booked out the beer garden in my local pub to host her. We'd had 100 members booked in. Yeah. But it was called off. The special branch paid for the risk assessment said it would be really difficult to get her in and out safely. And if anything were to happen down here, it's important that emergency services have access to be able to get into Folkestone quickly.
I see, because of all the traffic.
Yeah, that's right. Which is a real shame. And I know that my members were really, really disappointed. They did have opportunities to go out and meet her in the other areas that Kent actually visited, but obviously, again, travel problems for them as well. And I really do hope she will make the effort to come down, because a lot of my members are actually quite, I wouldn't say annoyed, but they're a little bit miffed that she didn't want to come down here and see the actual problems that we're dealing with down here in Folkestone, which would be something she'd have to deal with as Prime Minister.
Yeah, well, quite. Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of people on this show already, Stephen, saying, the government need to act. And of course, whoever's Prime Minister, well, you'd want them to put that, front and centre to avoid all of this chaos.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So a real shame. We've invited Rishi down as well, and hopefully he'll make those down to us at some point during the leadership campaign. We've got the hustings at various places across the UK, and I know lots of the members are really excited to get out to those. And the hustings are really important because you kind of see the whites of their eyes. You want to shake their hands. Yeah. You want to hear the tone of their voice. You don't just want to see the polished social media clips, the polished TV appearances. You need to see the real people. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to all those opportunities.
All the pundits are saying that Liz Truss would be the favourite among the members. Speaking to your friends and fellow Conservatives here in Kent, is that the feeling that you get, Stephen?
it's really hard to say. Again, people like me are changing quite regularly. On balance, I would probably say Liz is probably the favourite, but I wouldn't underestimate Rishi to kind of make an inside track down and come through and change some minds, because he is a very kind of charismatic man. His campaign's very polished. I think he's got some of the best people in the game kind of helping him on his leadership campaign. So, I think a month is a long time to change people's minds, and I think there's some new voting rules in at the moment where people can actually change their minds. If you've cast your vote, you're then able to change it with a second vote. So,
interesting.
I can't call it. I really can't.
Well, we'll keep in touch with you, Stephen, throughout the course of the campaign. We'd love to hear from you again. Thank you. Before you go, any thoughts about what we can do to mitigate all the traffic and travel problems you've seen in Folkestone over the weekend?
Do you know what? If I had the answer to that, I'd be a very rich man, I think.
You would. You would. I think a lot of my listeners would pay you a lot of money even to unlock that secret. Well, listen, thank you so much for talking to us this morning. And yes, do keep in touch. That's Stephen James then, chairman of the Folkestone and Hythe Conservative Association. We'll have more on the leadership debates